After Noah and I visited the hospital, we both knew that we needed sleep. Desperately. I was getting close to 2 days since we slept last, as we were constantly on the move. As much as I hated the idea of sleeping, especially after I just found something out that could be the key to breaking Nick's mind, both he and I were going to need sleep before we went to finish this once and for all. So Noah and I got our money together and we checked into a motel on the east side of town, as we were going to be moving east the next morning. I was lying in bed thinking back on what the woman told me back at that hospital, and a thought crossed my mind. An ex-CIA agent who was in charge of a human experimentation, his daughter dead, with the cause of death being unknown according to what the woman heard. Something in my mind knew that something was wrong with that connection. I turned on my bedside lamp, and I went to get my bag, which I filled with pictures and files. I wasn't going to be able to sleep just yet. I might be able to find more about his daughter. Was Nick responsible for his daughter's death? I took the files and spread them out on my bed. Noah was already sound asleep on his, snoring loudly. I started to look through them, carefully this time. The experiments that were described in these files were inhumane. I won't go into depth here on what they were. Besides, who knows what would happen to me if I decided to leak exactly what the CIA was doing with these innocent people. It was sickening. I tried to ignore the bad taste in my mouth and continued to look through the files, looking at all the subjects' names, looking for anything with the surname Sparks. A part of me didn't want to find anything of the sort, but my heart was filled with dread as I found what I was looking for. Project MK Ultra, RE, Start of Trials. Subject: Valerie Sparks. Written by Nick Sparks. Description: First test trial of mind control solution for the reboot of MK Ultra. Dangers to the subject are minimal, according to our research. The subject will be administered with the mind control solution as planned. The goal of this test trial is for the subject to lose memory of her temporary pet rat, which is being held in this lab. If successful, further trials will take place within the same solution. Outcome: Unforeseen complications have arisen with the subject. The subject is showing signs of extreme emotional distress, as well as complications in many vital organs. Reason unknown. Safety of the subject has been compromised. This sick fuck even experimented on his own daughter? Willingly? It was obvious to me, even if it wasn't written, that Valerie died due to these complications that were written in this file. Tears were starting to roll down my face as I turned the page around. Just like with Zoe's report, there was a photo of what I guessed to be Valerie on the back of the page. She looked no older than Zoe at the time she disappeared in this photo. For some reason, as I was staring at this photo, I became extremely lightheaded. It took me about 10 seconds for me to completely pass out on my bed. I was dreaming once more. This time I was in a completely open field. It was extremely beautiful outside and the wind blew briskly, making my hair blow everywhere. It was peaceful. The first time I felt peace in years, and it was in a fucking dream. Zoe appeared in front of me, but this time it wasn't just Zoe. Zoe was holding another girl's hand, and I immediately recognized it to be Valerie from the photo. They were both smiling at me. I immediately ran up to Zoe and I wrapped my arms around her. She let go of Valerie's hand and she hugged me back. I lowered down a little and I pulled Zoe's head to my chest. "I'm coming to get you, Zoe. It won't be long. Just wait a little bit longer." I turned my focus to Valerie, who was still standing beside us. She looked extremely sad now. I released Zoe from my arms, but I immediately took hold of her hand. I couldn't bring myself to let go of her completely, even if it was just a dream. With my free hand, I took hold of Valerie's. "I promise. I'm gonna make this right, okay? For both of you." Valerie was crying, and she also put her arms around me. She then started to fade slowly from sight. I tried to hug her back, but my arm went right through her. I'm sorry, Valerie." I woke up crying. I sat up slowly. Noah was still sleeping soundly. I got up and I went over to him and shook him awake. "Get up. We're gonna go kill this son of a bitch today." Noah and I got ready. I made sure that my pistol was fully loaded and that I had everything in my bag. "Come on. We're gonna have to steal a car for this. I know exactly where to go." "What do you mean you know exactly where to go?" Zoe showed me where. Noah didn't laugh. He knew that I was telling the truth this time. After everything that has happened in that dream, I remember seeing one of those mansions that I mentioned earlier, from the open field that I was in. There was also one tree by the side of the road that I saw that was extremely deformed. I noted that as a landmark that Zoe showed me to as hint to find her easier. I couldn't help but wonder how Zoe was getting all this information to me. The first time she did this is when she showed me Nick's old house. It was spot on. Every detail about the house was the same. Every detail about what was around the house was the same. So did she remember me after all? Did she know that I was coming for her somehow? If that was the case, then I knew that Nick did something else while experimenting with her. It sounded crazy, but it seemed like she was communicating with me through dreams. But I knew in my heart that Zoe was showing me the right place again. Noah and I left our motel room and went around looking for an unlucky person who was about to get their car stolen. We went around to the other motel rooms to try to look and listen for where the person was. As we were walking by one of the rooms, I thought I heard a shower water running. Noah, I think this person is having a shower. We have to be fast. I tried the doorknob, but it was locked. Okay, Noah, we're gonna have to ram this door in as hard as we can. The door looks pretty shitty. I don't think they'll be able to handle the both of us at the same time. Noah looked thrilled about being able to ram into a door. Hell yeah, let's do it. We both ran at the door and rammed it in at full force. As I thought, it fell down immediately under us. Shortly after, I heard the person from the shower yell, "Hello? Who's there?" I frantically looked around for the keys to this person's car. Luckily, I saw the car keys were sitting on the desk in the room. I stood up shakily and ran to get them. The shower water turned off. I ran out of the room with Noah as I pressed the lock button on the keys as much as possible. I heard the beep coming from our left. This guy's car was a recent model of the Hyundai Accent. Not too bad. I heard Noah say behind me as we were running to the car. I scoffed. Fucking idiot always makes jokes at the most unnecessary times. I got into the driver's seat and Noah hopped into the passenger side. Let's get the fuck out of here. The drive was a bit rocky at first, as the only time I've ever driven was with my mom when she was trying to teach me. I felt a pain in my heart for a split second as I remembered our life as a family before all this bullshit started. But I ignored it. And it didn't take us long for us to get out of town, which was a relief, that there were a lot fewer cars to worry about while driving along these parts. We continued east. As the woman at the hospital said, I made sure to tell Noah to look for a fucked up looking tree as we were driving. Sure enough, after around 30 minutes of driving, Noah saw the tree. Hey, that's a pretty fucked up tree over there. That the one? I immediately looked over to where he was pointing. Sure enough, it was the same tree that was in my dream once again. I pulled the car over and I looked down to the open field to my right. I saw the same mansion that was also in the dream. My heart rate began to rise. This is where it's going to end, whether it ends with me or Nick dying. I gave Noah my pistol and I told him the plan. I walked up slowly to the front of the mansion, alone and unarmed. Noah was headed around the back of the mansion as I told him to. My heart was beating so fast at this point that I could barely breathe. I walked up to the door and I slowly turned the knob and it opened a crack. It was actually left unlocked? I slowly opened the door the rest of the way, dead silence from the inside of the mansion. I looked at what was in front of me, a very large staircase leading up to the hallway that went both ways, with railings guarding the edges. No time for fear now. Nick, it's me, Keiran Callister. I've come here to talk to you. My voice echoed throughout the place. I heard a twisted laugh coming from somewhere. I couldn't exactly place where it was. You're smarter than I thought. You know that, Keiran? I never expected you to be able to follow me all the way here. Where's that good friend of yours? Nick's voice. I didn't want to expose him of any danger. I came here alone. Don't be a fucking coward. Show yourself. There was movement from upstairs. I immediately looked to the left and there he was. Fucking Nick Sparks, walking slowly down the hallway. In between the railings, I saw an object in his hand. It was a gun. As he came to the stairwell, he stopped and turned towards me, looking down on me. My heart stopped completely when I saw who was with him. He was standing hand in hand with who I knew was Zoe. She looked almost exactly the same as when she disappeared, only taller and older, and her eyes didn't look as lively as they used to be when she was with us. Zoe lifted a finger at me, still holding Nick's hand. Daddy? Who's that? No one you have to worry about, Zoe. he replied, smiling a fake smile. My heart shattered. You fucking son of a bitch, what did you do to her? I couldn't control myself any longer. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. Nick laughed, that hideous laugh again. What did I do? Nothing at all. She's always been mine, Keiran. I'm going to kill you. I'm gonna kill you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to fucking kill you. Nick let go of Zoe's hand and put the gun up to her head. She didn't seem to have any reaction to it at all. No, I don't think you will, Keiran, because if you try anything at all, she dies. A laugh escaped my mouth. An absolute manic laugh. Oh, really, Nick? Would you really kill another one of your own daughters? Just like you did with Valerie? I said to him with a sneer on my face. My turn to play the mind games. I knew that I hit him hard with that. A look of anger flashed across his face. He pushed the pistol hard against Zoe's head, but I knew he wouldn't shoot. Shut the fuck up! How the fuck did you find out about that? He was the one screaming now. I didn't answer. I just continued with the psychological torture. It was your fault that Valerie died. You know that damn well, don't you, Nick? You experimented on your own daughter in your fucking twisted pursuit to perfect the MK Ultra program. And now she's dead. Because of you. Because of you, Nick. I didn't stop. And now look at you. You're threatening your daughter's life again? Will you really be able to live yourself if you kill another one of your precious daughters? He was now shaking with uncontrollable anger. The gun was no longer aimed at Zoe's head. He was holding it by his side. You don't know anything. I didn't know that was going to happen. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. Now! The gunshot rang loudly through the house. I was able to buy enough time for Noah. Nick cried out in pain and the gun fell from his hands. Noah ran from the room he was hiding in and took hold of Nick. While I was distracting Nick, Noah was looking for a window he could climb into. I took this chance to run up and grab Zoe. I picked her up and brought her downstairs. Don't move, Zoe. I'll be right back, I promise. This is when she did something I didn't expect. As I turned around to go back upstairs, I felt her arms around my waist, and she was bawling her eyes out. I immediately turned around and knelt down to her eye level. There was no mistake. She remembered who I was. I hugged her harder than I ever had before. Sweetheart, I'm so proud of you. I'm so sorry it took so long for me to find you. I said to her, gently running my hand through her hair. I always did it to calm her down. Care Bear has to do something, okay? I'll be right back, I promise. I wiped the tears from her eyes and she nodded. She still couldn't say anything. I ran up the stairs back to Noah, who was still holding him down. He was still crying in pain. Give me the gun. Noah complied. Go wait downstairs with Zoe. I'm finishing this. He understood what that meant and went downstairs. They didn't have to see this. Without saying anything, I shot Nick, repeatedly. I shot his already wounded arm, his other arm, his feet, his legs, everywhere that wasn't fatal. He was going to feel pain, and a lot of it. Each scream he let out filled me with manic joy. Call me a psychopath, but I enjoyed every second of him crying out in pain. When I had enough, I flung him against the wall and I sat him up. The pained look in his eyes brought me even more happiness. I put the gun up to his head. Rotten hell. If there's an afterlife, I know for fucking sure you are never seeing Valerie again. She wouldn't want to see you anyways. Thank you guys so much for listening to my first series. This has gotten so much more attention than I thought it would. A lot of likes, more than any likes that I've actually got on any video. I think I got 20 likes on one of the parts. I can't remember which one it was, but I'm really glad you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Now that it's over, I will be going back to my normal things, like the three scary stories and stuff like that, and like the one-off stories and stuff. I want to go back to that because I do miss it a lot. I did like the series, but I just kind of miss what I used to do. So I can't wait to go back to that and get some collabs out. There's a couple in the works, and I'm very excited for you to see them. One is in the works for Horror by the Numbers channel that is going up Wednesday for his 500 subscriber special. So go check that out when it's up. And yeah, that was quite something. That was quite the story. There is another page to this. There's another part 7, but it's kind of just like an insight on what happens after, like, how the family deals with everything. And since it was after the finale, I guess I'll just let you guys read it yourself. I'm not gonna narrate it. I don't know why. I just don't feel like it, to be honest. It's not that I don't like the story at all. I want to get on to doing other videos for now. So yeah, I'll leave the link in the description to the explaining one that's after this. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in, like I said, and I will see you guys on Friday.